There are some places that are so special that the moment you visit them, you feel right at home. These are places that make you feel like you belong there, even if you have never been before. The Old Rhinebeck Aerodrome in Red Hook, New York, is one of those places.
Welcome again on the Vintage Aviation News YouTube channel. Very excited today. We are at the Old Rhinebeck Aerodrome Museum for another episode of Behind the Collection. It's been a while since we've been filming one of these episodes, but we were here over the weekend and we could not pass the opportunity to come visit this really magic and special place. So welcome to the Old Rhinebeck Aerodrome Museum, where aviation history comes to life literally. It's nested in the New York beautiful Hudson Valley. A beautiful drive from the city up to here. Although I was not in the city, but I was north of the city. Beautiful place. This living museum is dedicated to the pioneers of flight and the golden age of aviation. As you can see behind me, a ultra rare, and you can see. You can probably hear the engine getting started right now. There is an air show going on, but I wanted to take the opportunity to introduce you to the museum. This is a 1909 Blériot, American oldest flying airplane, and this place is truly like walking back in time. Since in its the beginning in 1958, when its founder Cole Palen acquired this land, this abandoned farm. This place has been dedicated to preserve and fly rare vintage aircraft. Some of them are more than a century old. Pretty crazy. This place is truly unique. When you walk through the doors of this place, you step back in time. They have airplanes, vehicles, motorcycles. Everyone is dressed up in period costumes, we will say, or regular clothing rather. So here, history here is just not isn't just on display. It really takes off. It drives around and it walks around. So pretty special place. So every weekend from June through October, the skies come alive with air shows, demonstrations from World War I dogfights, bar storming, antiques and acts, and all kind of activities. So make sure to check the Old Rhinebeck Aerodrome. Now the air show is about to start, so it might get a little loud, and we're gonna walk around and film and interview the people that make this place very special.
Creating a place like the Old Rhinebeck Aerodrome takes a very special kind of person, both a visionary and a doer. That person was Cole Palen. From an early age, Palen was captivated by stories of the Great War and the daring airmen who flew the fabric-covered fighters of that era. Before we meet the people who continue to keep his vision alive, let's hear from Palen himself in this rare interview provided by Periscope Films, where he shares how this remarkable place first came to be.
These World War I planes bring back memories of Eddie Rickenbacker's Hat in the Ring Squadron, of von Richthofen's Flying Circus, of French escadrilles and British and Canadian aerodromes, memories of men who first challenged the sky. They're all gone now, but their spirit lives on at Old Rhinebeck Aerodrome, a small airfield north of New York City. Every Sunday from May through October, Cole Palen and his crew are up before dawn, preparing for their weekly air show.
Switch on and go. Okay. Good job. On and ready.
Once a year, early in September, Cole's air show becomes part of a World War I weekend. Today is the World War I radio-controlled aircraft jamboree. A day when Cole shares the skies with other planes, just as authentic, but built to a much smaller scale and controlled by transmitters on the ground. for the modelers, building and flying these old planes is just a sport. For Cole Palen, it's become a major part of his life.
I purchased this old abandoned farm in Rhinebeck in late 1958, and had a 1,000-foot of runway made, started eating peanut butter and jam. It was strictly a low-budget operation, but I loved it that way. I was rebuilding planes in the living room of the house and getting in some flying, and to me that was, well, the most exciting time of my life, was the beginning of this, creating this World War I aerodrome.
My name's Clay Hammond. I'm the president on the board of trustees here at Old Rhinebeck Aerodrome. I'm also chief pilot.
Why the Old Rhinebeck is such a special place, Clay?
Well, it's special for everyone else because it's this living history museum where you can literally see and feel and hear and smell these airplanes in their natural environment. That was Cole Palen's vision from very early on, not just for the airplanes, but for the airport too, to be a living, breathing, old-time airport. That was the goal, was to make it look and feel like it was pulled out of the 1920s and 30s. Unlike a static museum, like so many other wonderful museums across the world, have beautiful airplanes on display in wonderful, inside environments. Our airplanes are flying through the sky. I mean, we also have static display as well, but those are all airplanes that simply stopped being used in the air show for some, for whatever reason, and were put on static display to still tell a story. But at the same token, we have these airplanes that are maintained airworthy, and they're museum pieces, but they're museum pieces that are displayed in their natural environment, i.e. in an air show every weekend. So that's what makes it special for everyone, coming to the shows. For me, it's special because I grew up here. I was born across the river in Kingston, and my parents were both employees of Cole Palen. My dad was chief mechanic and chief pilot all through the 80s. My mom was a bookkeeper with Rita Palen, and she also was ground crew in the show, playing Trudy True Love and other parts. So I grew up as a kid running up and down this runway and playing in all these old airplanes alongside my brother and all the other young kids that we had back in the 80s, and we still have young kids running around today. So that's a big part of it, is that internal family of staff and volunteers and ground crew and pilots that all work to put these shows on. And I grew up within that environment here as a kid, and I came back as an adult with the goal in mind of continuing the museum and making sure it could last for generations.
Now, Cole Palen, I read up about him. I saw a couple of videos online. He was truly a one-of-a-kind person.
Absolutely.
He purchased this piece of land in 1958 with a vision of making it a living aerodrome.
Yeah, he acquired that collection from Roosevelt Field, the museum down there. They were closing the museum at Roosevelt Field to put up a shopping center. The airport was going away, and he saw an opportunity and he took it. He put his life savings towards acquiring these old dilapidated aircraft in the museum down there at Roosevelt Field, moved them all up here to Dutchess County, got them flying, bought this property, made an airfield out of a farm, and turned it into this, what became an arena, for air shows, putting on living history displays. And it just morphed into what we see today, which is a continuation of Cole's vision that really came to pass in the 60s when he started doing formal air shows in the late 60s, every Saturday and Sunday. And from there, the crowds got really big in the 70s and 80s, and we've been trying to put on that same show ever since to show what these old airplanes are all about, and show their importance in the timeline of both American and world history.
So now, what's what's in the future for the museum? What's the immediate goals? Are you guys focusing on any specific project, or what's the long-term vision? Obviously, keeping the aerodrome alive, but is there anything else you guys are specifically focusing on?
Well, the number one thing that we focus on is keeping the airplanes airworthy that we have as much as we can. An airplane usually goes up on static display when it, for whatever reason, the airframe or the engine can no longer be maintained. And there are some airplanes here that are on the static display that just simply won't ever fly again. But as much as we can continue to fabricate, maintain, and keep these airplanes in the air, that's our number one goal. And then everything else is in support of that. The scenic air tours that we do around the Hudson Valley and over the Hudson River with the new Standard and the Stinson Detroiter, that revenue all goes towards supporting the museum. The gate every weekend for the air shows all goes towards supporting the museum. Philanthropic efforts, we have a huge campaign underway right now through the benefit of the DeSossaway Foundation for capital improvements. Many of our hangars have been replaced. We have additional hangars that are going to be renovated or replaced as well, and that continues and is ongoing. We have a fairly early effort on an endowment currently in process, and the goal is to get an endowment built up enough to support the overhead of the place, keeping the lights on, keeping the payroll going, and taking some of the dependency on the gate receipts and on the biplane rides off of the keeping the lights on. And if we can do that, then we get to start putting more things towards more resources and funds towards putting more airplanes in the air and bringing more value to the air show. So that rising tide lifts all boats there.
I'm Dave Trost. I'm one of the volunteers here at the museum, but I'm also on the board of trustees. I'm the vice president and the treasurer here at the Old Rhinebeck Aerodrome. I started here as a volunteer in 2016. I answered an email for, I said, hey, would you like some help? And to their chagrin, I answered yes. They answered yes. I came and started working here. and I've been here ever since. So I enjoyed being here. I'm one of the pilots here. I also do a lot of the airplane maintenance because I really enjoy that work. This is a 1909 Blériot 11. This is one of the earliest functional airplanes from France. This is an airplane that was flown by Louis Blériot across the English Channel. Not this exact airplane, but one exactly like it. Was the first airplane to fly across the English Channel. This plane has been in the aerodrome collection since the late 1950s, early 1960s. It was restored by Cole Palen, our founder. When he found it, it was in pretty rough shape. It needed new wings built, and it needed some parts of the tail fixed. And in airplanes, the thing that's very, very important, they call the data plate. Data plate is where it was produced and when it was produced and what the serial number is. And it's actually right here. It says serial number 56, built in Paris, type number 11. It's hard to see right now because it's so tarnished, but this is one of the jewels of our collection. This is the second oldest airworthy airplane in the world. The oldest is in England at the Shuttleworth collection, and they are quick to point out it is the oldest airplane, even though ours is only a few weeks newer than theirs. Ours is serial number 56, theirs is serial number 14. Old Rhinebeck, why is Old Rhinebeck such a special place? Well, it's a special place for a variety of reasons. One of the big ones is it's a family. It's a family of people that have been working at this museum and this aerodrome now for their entire lives. I mean, this is a multi-generational museum. We have people that their fathers started flying here in the early 60s. The museum is wonderful because it is one of the few museums that really believes that an airplane is not an airplane unless it's flying. So our whole focus is to keep these old airplanes flying, not just static in a museum. And once we can keep them flying, that's our goal. We do the best we can. Can't keep everything going, but also it's just it's a unique place because we do 38 air shows a year. Every Saturday and Sunday, the shows are not terribly different than they were back in the 60s, multi-generations ago. In some cases, like Dave King, who was out there today doing his ribbon cut, his father flew here. His uncle built a Sop with pup and flew it here for many, many years. So it's a very special place to people for many different reasons. For me, I like old airplanes. I like tinkering on old airplanes. I like the maintenance part just as much as the flying part. Some days I like it even more. So it's for me, it's a unique place to be.
The Old Rhinebeck Aerodrome remains a living tribute, not only to the dawn of flight, but to the passion and persistence of one remarkable man. Now his legacy lives on thanks to the fine folks and volunteers who run America's first flying museum of antique aircraft.